it wasn't easy as the Devils returned home off a 5-game road trip. It took a while. In fact, it took until the final 5.5 minutes before they finally took the lead. But they went ahead and kept it and win going away 5-3.
And tell me, Matty, when has it been easy this year, it seems like, for the Devils? Every game has some drama to it, and tonight it did. But I got to tell you, just watching a clip of Dougie Hamilton after he scored, and he's celebrating like it just looked like he really enjoyed, obviously, scoring the goal, but his team at that point tying it up and feeling like, hey, I'm contributing.
Devils out shooting Chicago 40-31, so they peppered Spencer Knight. Chicago did come back and put a lot of pucks on Jake Allen, 13 in the third period. Mm-hmm. It was a back-and-forth affair, and it was a game where it was just a lot of fun.
Well, I mean, folks, again, I say we're in it for entertainment. It's nothing else but get lost for a couple hours or whatever it is, Matty, and that's what we did. It was drama, nail-biting, great scoring chances, great plays by some of the best players in the game today, and then the ending. I mean, it wouldn't have been fun if the Devils hadn't won, but the way they found a way to win was really a little bit different but exceptional. But Jack Hughes, again, kind of took the game over. And when he does that, look out, other team.
A 4-point night for Jack. The Devils getting 5 tonight in total, and one of them from our guest downstairs outside the Devils dressing room, Shimon Nemec, who scored his 11th goal of the season to tie it at 2 late in the second period. Shimon, thanks very much for your time. I guess it proves the point in this hockey game, not this particular, but the game in general, that you just keep playing the full 60 because the Devils took a while to get on top, but eventually it happened and you picked up the win.
Hey guys. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty hard game. We had over 40 shots, but they still were in the game, so yeah, it wasn't an easy night.
It wasn't an easy night, but 2-1, and can you just describe what you're seeing? I'm watching. You're sitting back here on defense, puck's in the corner, but can you just walk through? You kind of move, you get the pass, and what are you thinking?
I was just right time on the right place, so yeah, I didn't waste any time, and I just shoot it, and yeah, it went in. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Did you see
the goalie was screened? Did you see that the blocker was open?
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard when you shoot on the other side. Yeah, goalie didn't see, and yeah, it went in, and that was, I think, a huge goal for us.
Well, you're 11th of the season, and you seem to like playing against Chicago. That was your 5th goal against them, including the hat trick earlier this season. Is there anything special about it?
Yeah, I wish we could play them more, but yeah. No, yeah, I was their big fan when I was younger, so maybe something's with that. So.
What was it that made you a fan of Chicago?
Probably so many Slovak guys there.
Okay.
Yeah. Sheldon Keefe, that defenseman, maybe? I mean, he won the Conn Smythe. They won 2 or 3 cups when you would have been a kid.
Yeah. Obviously, they had great players. Like first time when I was in US, that was in Chicago, and we went for the game. So yeah, I got just good memories about Chicago. So.
Nice. What brought you to the U.S. at that point?
We played tournament there, so when I was like 11 or 12. So yeah.
Very nice. So good warm memories, and you continue to play against the team you saw over in the Windy City, as they say.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing though how and I can't describe it. Nobody can. But there are some teams that players just feel good against, like obviously Jack Hughes against the Rangers, but. Even going into tonight's game, you're playing the Blackhawks. Did you kind of feel like, how you got a little swagger or some feel good before you started?
Yeah, I mean, I had in my head that I had 3 games against them, 5 points. So I'm just gonna try keep pushing for that and keep shooting. And I did it again. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
Well, thank you, because, that's what the fans want to hear, right? Not just in the right place at the right time. Hey, again, you get a goal Dougie Hamilton gets a goal. I mean, we've got some good offensive defensemen. Is that just something you're starting to realize you have to do more of? Not just you, but Luke and Dougie. Because to score goals, it can't just be the three forwards. The D got to get involved, right?
Yeah, I mean, in every D pair we got a offensive guy, which is pretty dangerous for the opponents. And yeah, I mean, it's good for us if we playing the right way. And I think we got that feeling in offense. So yeah, we just have to keep continue that next 9 games.
Well, Shimon, thanks very much for your time. We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday night against the New York Rangers. By the way, the great Peter Stastny, who played for the New Jersey Devils, among the great Slovak players, and, of course, at the top of that list, Stan Mikita. I don't know if you know much about Stan. Do you know the name?
Slovak, yeah. He was born like probably 15 kilometers from my hometown. So.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he moved at an early age.
Yeah, I went there, when I was in Slovakia doing hockey schools. I went there. But here's the other thing I wanted to ask you. When you were watching NHL hockey growing up as a boy, was it delayed, or did you have to kind of stay up at night sometimes to catch the game, or how did that work?
I mean, it's good in NHL. Then every weekend there are games in prime time in Europe. So we watch that games and also like the California teams, they playing pretty late. So when I woke up and before I went to the school, we watched third periods. So yeah, I watched a lot of LA Kings too. So
yeah. And on those days when you stayed up watching, your grades didn't drop at all, though. You were just as sharp in the classroom, right?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Shimon, thanks very much for your time. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Simone.
Yeah, good night.
Shimon Nemec joining us after picking up a goal tonight. Went down to one knee, and he did have a little help from the Chicago Blackhawks defense.
But when he said he just felt good coming in, this is what I'm saying. I don't get into the psychology of, what players are thinking about too much, but there were certain teams that I felt a little better playing against, and whatever the reason. But for him in Chicago, there's a bond there that we hope lasts every game he plays against them.
Yeah, Stan Mikita grew up 8 kilometers away from Shimon Nemec, who hails from Liptovsky Mikulas in Slovakia.
And it was Czechoslovakia when Stan defected. But you're right. That's a good history lesson for him. And I'm really shocked that he knew what you were talking about. Good for you, Simon.
Yeah, and so let's turn our attention to some of the highlights of tonight's game. We're going to hear from Jake Allen coming up in a little bit, of course, head coach Sheldon Keefe. And it did not start well for Jake Allen. A misplay, and Chicago takes the lead. Allen doesn't know where the puck is, and they score. It was dumped in by Chicago. Jake slowed it down behind the net. He couldn't find it at his skates. And it was finally flipped out in front. He never got back. No chance. Easy goal, easiest of his career. All empty netters are pretty easy for Ilya Mikheyev.
Yeah, and don't you think now Jake's got to fight it a little bit between the years?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought after that he made some dandy saves. Wow.
He sure did. In fact, throughout the night, he was a difference maker. There's no question about it. The Devils down 1-0. The goal came 4:19 in. They would get a power play at 10:55 as Wyatt Kaiser was called for a trip. It didn't take long, 20 seconds, in fact, and this game was tied. Now Brown has it again to the blue line for Luke Hughes. On to Jesper Bratt, left wing side. Behind the net, he feeds it to Hischier. Now to Jack. To Luke out high. A wrist shot tip. They score. It's Connor Brown with the long-range tip. That didn't take long. Devils have tied it at 1. Brown's 15th of the season. Luke Hughes with the primary assist. His brother Jack picking up the secondary helper, which turned out to be the first of a 4-point night. 40 assists at that point for Jack Hughes. And the Devils tie things up.
And, sometimes the defenseman shoots, Matty. There's people in front. He's just trying to get it on net. But I watched it. Luke Hughes saw that Brown was all alone in the high slot, and he shot it for the tip and beautifully executed.
Less than 2 minutes later, though, Frank Nazar with his first of 2 to give Chicago the 2-1 lead after 1. Ryan Donato, Andre Burakovsky with the assist. Nazar had a couple of great opportunities
Oh.
in that first period. Shot between his legs. That was fought off by Jake Allen. He was open all alone prior to that. Pass out in front. Jake made the save. So, yeah, Nazar scored twice, but it could have been more. And if it was, it probably would be a different outcome. Into the second period we would go. Spencer Knight made some terrific glove saves.
Oh.
He got Timo Meier a couple of times. And as the period wound further along, it looked like that 2-1 lead would hold up. But the man we just spoke to a moment ago, Shimo Nemec, had other ideas in mind. Cross ice it goes, and the shot flubbed by Mercer, picked up by Meier. Meier backhands in front. Nazar intercepts it, still loose. Now it's Mercer finds a man, Nemec, who scores. The Devils stayed with it, and they've tied it at 2. It was turnover Devils, turnover Chicago, turnover Devils, finally turnover Chicago, and the Devils score.
Yeah, I mean, it was Simon Nemec. Like he said, he saw the goalie was screened. He had no chance. But I watched him, and you watched it too. Here's what I'm watching him. In practice, folks, he is practicing his one-timers. That wasn't a one-timer, but on a one-timer, you want to have low center of gravity. You want that knee down on the ground. He wanted to get the puck up, so when he shot it, Matty, that right knee went down, and boom, up over the blocker it went.
And that's where we stood after 2, that Nemec goal, tying it at 2, and we would head into the third period. The Devils with 16 shots on goal in the second period to 5 for Chicago. Good period for the Devils, but again, not getting that high percentage. They did get the 1 goal. It was enough to tie it up. We mentioned earlier that Nazar wound up having 2 goals on the night. We mentioned that he had 2 great early opportunities on Jake Allen. He had another one in the third. Teravainen in the corner. Banks one for Nazar. Back to Teravainen. Aggressively challenged by Siegenthaler. Chicago will roll it to the blue line. Here's Bedard moving in with a shot save. Rebound. This was another save. Oh, Jake, brilliant, stopping Nazar. And that keeps the Devils tied at 2. But then, if the Devils lost this, we clearly would look at this 5-on-3 as being the difference. At 8:54, a high sticking penalty is called on Nick Bjugstad.
We could buy that.
At 9:58, Cody Glass is called for a trip.
Can't buy that.
As he took down Connor Bedard, who was, on his edges trying to come out of his own zone. It was more like a bump against the leg. It wasn't a stick against the skate. It wasn't skate against skate. It wasn't a leg out. But it was enough to send Glass to the penalty box.
And sent the crowd into a frenzy. They saw what we saw, Matty, and they were all over that referee, and they should have been.
The Devils killed most, not all, of the 5-on-3 with 3 seconds remaining. Nazar scores his second of the game, 14th of the season. Bedard and Frondel, Connor Bedard and Anton Frondel with the assists, and Chicago had the 3-2 lead. You thought maybe there'd be a penalty called on Chicago along the way to give the Devils a power play, but that wasn't the case. They did have 2 in the game and failed. They had 2 in the game and scored the 1 goal, Connor Brown, earlier, but not another one in the third period. But the Devils were able to keep at it, and Spencer Knight, he was terrific. But if you put 40 shots on goal, you're hoping that a mistake is made. You talked about that, and that's what happened when Dougie Hamilton tied it up. Here comes Meier, looks around, slows down, protects the puck, gives it to Jack. Cross ice, Hamilton in deep with a shot. He scores! Dougie Hamilton! And we are tied. Dougie with his 11th of the season. Jack Hughes with a seeing eye pass. He just saw that all the way. And then there was also Timo Meier picking up a helper. And the Devils had tied it at 3. 14:32, the time of the goal.
Okay, let me say.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing about shooting the puck. Sometimes you have time to look and see where the goalie is. I really believe Dougie Hamilton's way over inside the circle on the right. And, of course, the goaltender Knight has to come across. But when you look at it, Knight went way too far. He went outside the post. I think Dougie Hamilton saw that. So he blasted over the blocker back against the grain. I mean, Knight didn't make many mistakes, but on that one, Matt, he just played it too far and gave too much of the net to Dougie.
And maybe he was rattled by that. Rattled was Chicago by that, because 19 seconds later, we had the play of the game brought to you by Prudential, the Devils' official financial services partner. Bank pass for Jack. Gets a step. Jack moves in. He scores. Goes high. Glove side. 2 quick goals for the Devils. And it's 4-3. And that was the play of the game brought to you by Prudential, the Devils' official financial services partner. You liked how he played the man along the far wall, Vlasic.
Yeah, Vlasic, actually, Jack wouldn't have got the puck, but Vlasic, he's kind of with them, and so you're going to reach for it. It's tempting, but he slows it down, and then Jack goes down, and here's what I'm telling you what he's thinking. You're just talking about all the glove saves, right? I know Jack. He's thinking, he is not going to get a chance to get that glove up there. I'm going to go in, and Jack just goes, boom, quick little stick handle, bang, shoots it up, hits him in the shoulder, into the net, top part of the high in the net. He didn't give Spencer Knight a chance to get that glove up there like he wanted to. You just watch how quickly he gets it away. But that's Jack Hughes sitting, thinking, okay, this guy's got my number on the glove, on this and that, but he's not going to have my number on this one. And boom. Oh, does he rip it upstairs. And the other thing is, Matty, we were talking about, I don't know what happened with the cut tendon like a long time ago in Chicago, but Jack wasn't shooting the puck high and hard as well as I thought he could. But on this one, there is no question, Matty. He just, watch how quick he's got it. Boom! And Knight's just starting to get set, move by him. Anyway, that's Jack Hughes, and he's just special.
He had a 7-game point scoring streak ended yesterday. He had averaged 2 points per game over that span. Mm-hmm. So he decides, I'll have 4 points tonight, so I'm still on a 2-point per game streak through my last 9 games, even though he didn't have any yesterday against Carolina. And he got to that 4-point night with the final goal of the night. Coming down the far side is Nazer. He's got 2 goals. Plays it off the outside of the net. It bounds toward Heischer. Up ahead to Jack. He's got a step. Looks around with the empty net. He scores! And that was his 22nd of the season. 19:28 the time of the goal. 5-3 the final score. 4 points for Jack Hughes. And I wonder what he's got in store for Madison Square Garden. I know he wants to enjoy this one.
Don't ask him.
I'm not, but you know what he does against the Rangers.
Well, here's the thing about Jack Hughes, folks. He does project it. I mean, he's thinking a little bit ahead, but I really think he's a guy that just thinks in the moment. And tonight, he was great in the moment.
All right, we're going to hear from Jack Hughes a little later on, but first, let's hear from the winning goalie, Jake Allen.
Jake just proves, once again, as a group, you stick with it, and, good fortune can really come your way as a group with that hard work.
Yeah, to be honest, we've been outside of last night now. Our last stretch of games been pretty good, so you throw last night away, and we found a way tonight. Obviously, it was they got a lot of momentum with those couple penalty kills there in the third period, but boys stuck with it. A couple really nice shots from Dougie and Jack, and got rewarded. So good win for us.
What's it like to sort of see the game for you guys come?
We'll get back to Jake Allen in a moment and hear from Jack Hughes, but first live is the head coach Sheldon Keefe.
Go away or dig in and go out and make a difference, and that's how it played out. So it's quite the swing. Great response by our guys. Just showing once again that even when you're tired and even when things are tough, that you've got more to give in these situations, and the guys dug in and found it.
Jack had a tremendous night, but early on things didn't go his way, but he responded also and didn't let that get to him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
The goal that went in early on, he probably wants that one back. But my point is,
Jake,
I'm sorry, I said Jake. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Jake,
Gotcha.
At the end of the game was stellar.
Yeah, he was. He's for sure. The chances that we gave up tonight were pretty high end. We didn't give up a lot of calling easy shots. There was a lot of challenging saves for him. I think that's a lot of skill and speed that their team has, and they made some plays. So yeah, no question that Jake held us in and gave us the opportunity to come back.
When they scored on their 5-on-3, what did you sense from your bench and just like where that response went? You talked a little about what the response was, but what did you sense from that moment?
Well, I think the guys were a little pissed off, or the guy certainly was too. You know, it's a 2-2 game. We're already killing a penalty, and from what I can see on it, looks like Bedard's already on his way down before any sort of contact is made, and you know, I think that's, you know, the type of one you'd like to see let go and all of that, but doesn't go our way. They score. I think the guys were, you know, a little angry with it, but at the same time, I didn't think we were distracted by it. I think, you know, they remained confident that we were going to get more opportunities to score, and made some plays. You know, it's great sequence. You know, Timo I thought was really good tonight and just driving the play, and you know, it makes a play to Jack. Jack finds Dougie, just a great shot there. And then obviously Jack's goal, just, I mean, the speed to get loose and to pull away there's pretty tremendous, not to mention the finish. So, yeah, it was a great finish.
I think last game, if I remember correctly, plus tonight you have Luke on that PP1, switching off with Dougie. What was sort of the thought process that you guys went through to maybe have a bit of a different look? Because I know you've been happy with the way that first unit was working.
Yeah, it's something we've been talking about for a while, and just kind of waiting for the right time to try something different. We have been happy with both power play units, quite honestly, but you know, as you know, there was different parts of the season where we had moved Luke there on that group, and it had been a while since we've given any sort of runway. So you know, made a switch the other night in their final power play, and just decided to stick with it here today. And you know, it was tremendous on the first power play. The goal was pretty textbook pace, and everything that was available and talked about in the meeting with the pre-scout and everything was executed very, very well. So that was good, and then it was really nice to see the second power play that we had. Our second group actually had the better looks and the better touches there. So to see both units without practice time or even much notice, given that we you know, we didn't bring them in this morning, it was good to see them, you know, just keep going.
It was obviously a milestone game for Nico Hischier, 600 games. What has he meant for you since you got here, you know, just as captain of the team?
He's been great. Yeah, he's just very consistent in who he is. You know, I think I know that he really cares a lot about his own game, about the team. I know it really hurts him when things aren't going well, and he, you know, because he cares deeply about it, and he shows that with how he plays. You know, I think I've said it a number of times. I don't give Nico Hischier a lot of easy shifts. You know, he takes on tough assignments. The amount of face-offs that he takes, like he picks up a lot of the slack in different areas where we need him. You know, to take on extra duty for our team. D-zone starts, and you know, he's still. You know, I was looking at it today since the Olympic break. You know, Nico and his line. You know, I'm not sure where it finishes today, but through the 15 games prior to today, like that line had given up basically nothing. The best defensive line on our team when you think about, and I know how I deploy them with the matchups and the D-zone starts and the number of face-offs he has in the D-zone. To have numbers like that and still be producing offense is pretty tremendous. So, you know, 600 games, he's got a lot more to play in this league, and he doesn't take any nights off.
Does it feel like it's not a coincidence that adding Luke's skill set back post-Olympic break kind of coincides with the offensive surge of the whole team?
Yeah, I mean, that's just, you know, to say nothing of Jack and his inclusion. But, yeah, it's another thing that, you know, I've looked at. We've been tracking this. We've been putting so much emphasis on our play on the rush and things like that since coming back from the Olympic break. And I looked at it the other day, and you know, one of the things that drives play on the rush is controlled entries and speed coming through the neutral zone. Jack, on individual entries, Jack leads our team by a country mile, and since the Olympic break, and really would be the whole season. But Jack also is right there in assisting others in getting plays off the rush and controlled entries. And Luke is right there too. So he and Luke are kind of, you know, on another level compared to everyone else. So that's a statistical way to look at it, what those guys can bring in terms of pushing our offense on the rush, and when we've had them both healthy and feeling good, we look a lot like we have since a lot of focus on how we've improved offensively here in these now 16 games. Go back and watch the 17 games before before Jack got hurt, and it looks pretty similar. In fact, I showed 5 clips tonight of our team in Chicago in Game 17 last time we were there on the rush and making plays. Nemo scored a goal on the rush, scored 2 goals on the rush in that game. Carolina last night, first goal of the season that we scored was Dougie on the rush. All these things have kind of happened, and Jack and Luke, with their pace of play and skill set, they really drive a lot of it, and everybody else just gets a little bit quicker and executes a little bit better because the game is a little more favorable for everybody.
Thanks, Sheldon.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, those 2 guys are pretty good. Jack at the top of the list, that's for sure. As when Jack Hughes is going and his brother's going, the offense is cooking. And so let's go back to the Jake Allen interview that was conducted by Amanda Stein, and we had to interrupt that as Sheldon Keefe stepped to the microphone live. Here's what that interview sounded like.
Jake just proves once again, as a group, you stick with it, and good fortune can really come your way as a group with that hard work.
Yeah, to be honest, we've been outside of last night. Our last stretch of games been pretty good. So you throw last night away, and we found a way tonight. Obviously, it was they got a lot of momentum with those couple penalty kills there in the third period, but. Boys stuck with it. A couple really nice shots from Dougie and Jack, and got rewarded. So, good win for us.
What's it like to sort of see the game for you guys come together really and build some momentum, but knowing that the runway is really,
yeah.
So, how do you handle that mentally?
We understand the situation we're in. Everyone does, but that doesn't mean you're not going to show up every night. It doesn't mean regardless of playoffs or not. Obviously, we want to be on the other side of it, and we're disappointed. And, it's sort of unacceptable, but at the same time, we're still trying to build things here. There's a lot of guys that are still playing for a lot of things, a lot of pride, a lot of trying to get a game in a right foot and a proud foot to finish the season and take some good things into the summer. So, it's kudos to a lot of the guys. I've seen some situations like this where teams can really just pack it in, and our guys have not done that, so it's good for them.
How about your response, though, there the last 5 minutes? Just, offensively, defensively, you guys really, laid it on the line.
Yeah, it was good. It's what you got to do, especially this time of year. It doesn't matter. This time of year, the game always ramps up. It doesn't matter if you're playing a team that's not in the playoffs or not. There seems to be a bit more of an intensity. I think it's just this time of year, it brings out, a little bit of more feistiness in some people. It's been great. Guys have done a really good job lately on the 6-on-5s, so you got to give them credit.
So tell me, you obviously made some incredible saves out there, but when you give up that goal early in the game, is that something that eats at you? How do you focus and how do you just put that behind you?
It's a lot of experience. Had a lot of bad goals. That's just a terrible bounce. It's just tough bounce off the glass. If that puck didn't hit the glass, it's a normal breakout. So that's the way you got to look at it. I've had a lot of bad goals in my career, and trust me, my career is far from over, so I'm sure there's going to be more. So you can't let it eat at you.
A common theme this year is the maturity of the team, the mental state of this team. Talk about that, especially given what happened going down 5-on-3, but the response after that with those goals.
Yeah, 5-on-3 is tough. Odds are largely stacked against you at that point, but it's it didn't let the guys get rattled. The guys stuck with it. We got some mojo out of it. Guys stepped right up, and we knew that we had limited time, and I thought the guys did a good job. They played responsible. They took chances, but they never took chances that were egregious and that were going to come back the other way. So I think that's a big silver lining in it. Taking the right chances, managing the game the right way, and they capitalized on the chances. So.
Jake Allen picks up his 15th win of the season. He's now won 3 of his last 4, and I kind of like the way he handled it. Yeah, I've given up some bad goals. I'll give up some more. You just got to shake it off. But you've been in that position. Are there some bad goals that are worse than others, or can you just say, hey, that was a weird bounce off the glass, and it happens, and that's the way it goes?
Yeah, I think you can, Matt. And if you're breaking this down, who gave up the bad goal? Was it Jake Allen in the first couple minutes, or was it Spencer Knight playing that well and giving no, I'm just saying, I think for a goalie, you say, okay, I want to get a shutout, but they could score in the first minute, so you don't say, well, I know, no chance. And then you can shut him out the rest of the way. Or, I don't, and I think he is being honest. Sometimes people or players just say what they want to say. But honestly, I don't think it bothered him. And the saves he made after that, and you and I have said it, I know the goalies, both he and Markstrom, haven't been flawless. But if the Devils were only going to get 2 goals tonight, they were going to lose, right? And we've seen that earlier. But tonight, no, they said, no, we're going at least for 3, and then they get the open net. So, nice for Jake, though. He said he's won 3 out of 4?
Yeah.
And he wanted to finish. Remember, he said, we want to finish well for the summer, and he's doing that.
Yep. Wants to get above 500. He'll have that chance before it's all said and done at 15, 16, and 1. Don't know whether that start. The next one will come on Tuesday against the Rangers. I'm guessing it'll be Markstrom. But at any rate, Jake will have more chances before the season is over. Before we wrap things up, let's check in with the man who was voted the #1 star of the game, now the leading scorer for the Devils. 4 points this evening, 63 on the season. Here's Jack Hughes.
Jack, we're just talking to Jake, and it's sort of that thing, you stick with it, and in 19 seconds, the whole thing can change. What did you like most about the response towards the end of the game from your team?
Yeah, I mean, thought we played well the whole night, right? So just sticking with it. 5-on-3, obviously, it's hard to shut that down. They got some really skilled players, right? So we just got to come out and, come back and try to get back in the game, and we did a good job of that tonight.
What were some of those things that you saw after that 5-on-3? Nico talked about never breaking, and not only bending.
Well, I mean, we did break, right? We gave one up.
No, after that, I mean.
Well, I mean, it was so fast. I think it wasn't even about that. It was more just, the whole second period we dominated. Third period, it's coming. So we just had to, stick with our game, push, but not give anything crazy up, and did a good job of that tonight. Obviously, Jake makes a lot of big saves, but, we had to finish some looks, and Dougie's goal is massive. Even Nemo's goal at the end of the second there, pretty dominant second. So for Nemo to score that and give us a tie game going into the third, that's big.
Jack, just to handle some adversity in the game was a good sign. I mean, Jake gives up a goal he doesn't want to give up. You guys give up a power play goal in the 5-on-3, but you don't let it get to you guys. You keep that.
Yeah, I mean, that's hockey, right? What are you going to do? So I think we played a good game tonight, and that was just a good job of sticking with it.
It seemed like you tried so many different kinds of ways to score on Spencer Knight. Finally break through. Just had that feel.
Yeah, I mean, shot probably thousands of pucks on 90, right? So definitely, not that there's a mental thing there, but, hard to know where to shoot on him when he's made so many saves on me. So had plenty of looks tonight, and obviously the one goes in high glove, but, Knighty kind of closed the door on me pretty good tonight.
Yeah, just 600 for Nico. Just what's that like from your vantage point?
It's great. I mean, he's well on his way to 1,000, right? I think 1,000's the big number, but, he's so young, already 600 games, so he's just got to keep going, and he's going to have a great career.
Was Nico's night a motivating factor for your goal?
What's that?
Was Nico's special night a motivating factor for your goal?
No, not really. I mean, I think our whole team played well tonight, and, that was a game we probably deserved to win, and I think we just had to keep going, and, the puck was going to find the back of the net.
Jack Hughes with a 4-point night, and he did have a lot of chances against Spencer Knight. He had 8 shots on goal. He had 4 that were blocked. He had 7 that missed. So that's 19 times he put the puck toward the front of the net. Timo Meier, 9 shots on goal. 3 were blocked. 5 missed the target. So that's 17. The Devils had 90 pucks toward the net tonight.
Oh, they dominated. It was at times it was like playing an American Hockey League team, Matty. I'm not trying to dump on the Blackhawks, but, they have no clue how to play under pressure. But here's the other thing I want to say about Jack Hughes. I'm a goalie. I watched the whole game. Don't get me wrong. So I watched him back check a few times, and he comes back to get the puck turned over. So smart, just like he is when he's handling it. Made a couple of great plays there. But then when it's 3-2, and they have an extra man, Bedard is up on the right point, and he's ripping the puck. He's going to rip it every time he gets any chance because he's the shooter. So what I got to say, the coach put Jack out there, and Jack says, okay, I'm going to be tight on him because he's the one guy that you can't let go. And he didn't. So I guess what I'm saying, Matty, is if Jack Hughes is going to be the overall ultimate leader for the New Jersey Devils when they win the Stanley Cup, which we hope is soon. He's got to play all aspects. Offense, like you said, defense, when they pull the goalie, whatever. And that's what I love about Jack Hughes. It's just the whole game he wants to play, not just score goals, and he did that tonight. 63
points in just 52 games.
Wow.
And there's more in his future as he just continues to mature. That's just about a 100-point pace, and there are a few guys who are way up there running away with it in terms of the scoring race, and Jack would be among the leaders but not close to the guys who are at the top. But nonetheless, 100 points is pretty nice. It would be a Devils record. No Devil has ever had 100 points in a single season. But he won't get there this year because of the injuries. But just keep in mind when you look at that point total, it's come in 52 games. Anyway, ready for Tuesday, Rangers?
Oh, it's always good to go in there. And you know, I mean, I want a competitive game Tuesday. Devils have won pretty easy. They've dominated. The Rangers just look beaten and demoralized, but they've got some youth. They've won a couple games since we were there last game, Maddie. So I just want to see it real competitive, just kind of like it was tonight. And then I want to see the Devils score a goal late in the third or whatever, and we just leave there saying, that was entertainment, because that's what we're looking for. You said it, Maddie. You kept saying we go down the stretch. What do we want? We want to have entertainment. We want to have fun. That means scoring goals and winning hockey games. That's what happened tonight.
They scored 5. They win. One was into an empty net. 5-2 the final score. The Devils beat Chicago, and they get ready for the Rangers on Tuesday night. That's a game you'll hear here on the Devils Hockey Network.